Good morning. You're listening to FloorDaily.net, and I'm Kemp Harr. This morning, my guest is Bill Blackstock, the president and CEO of the RFCI, the Resilient Floor Covering Institute. Bill, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Kemp. I got to be honest, the adrenaline from last week's meeting is starting to wear off, and I'm a little tired this morning, to be honest with you, but it's a good kind of tired.
Yeah, and we also need to comment about the news that we're all waking up to this morning. I think we're all relieved that the election is over. Not only is it over, but it sounds like not going to drag on as far as trying to figure out who got the most votes. So that's going to be a big relief, isn't it?
Yes, no matter what side of the fence you're on, the beauty of this grand experiment in our country. Kemp, right beside my desk here, I've got a picture from the inside of a landing craft on D-Day, and I keep it beside me and remind my family about these people who are going into a very hard situation and the need to vote. And, you know, from the standpoint of the last 24 hours, that was my priority, is voting.
You did have a meeting last week. Let's go straight to that. First, though, let's remind our listeners, you've been in this role now for 3 years as the leader of the trade association focused on the resilient flooring business. You have meetings in the spring and in the fall. You just had one last week down, and you had some luck there, too, because you were in Naples, the west coast of Florida, and it was long enough after Milton for them to have raked up everything. And then Raphael's coming later this week. So you timed that right, didn't you?
You and I both have a lot of friends who were impacted by that prior hurricane. Yet Naples was spared the brunt of the damage. But with you and I being a little older, with our friends throughout the country, boy, did some people really have a hard time from that. So we were grateful, but my heart and prayer is out for those people who got impacted.
All right, catch our listeners up with what's going on with business conditions in the resilient floor covering business.
This is always a focus of our meeting in the spring and in the fall. We bring in economists. We have discussions with them looking forward. The attendance level of this fall meeting versus the last fall meeting, which was well attended last year, was up over 20%, and we were truly grateful for our members investing on that. With this meeting also, we went from 47 to 48 members with Billingate joining RFCI. Energy was high on a variety of topics. In the fall meeting, that's when we basically review our strategic initiatives and also prepare for the year ahead. We had a lot of discussion on that front, and great speakers as well. We're very thankful for them. So from a bullet standpoint, let's look at the overall flooring market very quickly. The big picture, second half of 2025, to me looks promising on both the residential and the commercial side. 2026 and 2027, from the standpoint of the total built environment, look extremely strong. Very briefly on each of the markets, the three primaries. Single family, Kemp, as you reported on and as you know, is millions of units underbuilt. And as interest rates subside on that factor will be released. Remodeling is often linked to housing sales, and existing housing sales have been low because people are sitting on their loans. Well, as loans come down and a couple other factors, you're going to see some churn in the existing unit sales of single family, and that will lead to remodeling. And Resilient loves remodeling. Can't help but turn on the TV and see Resilient playing in those turns aspects as well. A big issue on the single family side is housing affordability. And Kemp, we're starting to see some activity associated with being attentive to that and various methods that are out there to address it, from smaller homes to ways that the government can help the issue. Housing affordability is a national issue, and there are people that are looking closely and making a difference on that. Same thing, we're seeing some interesting discussion on permitting costs, which are very high as well. And it goes on. There are generational issues that are at play in single family that are very interesting to us. But all in all, we like where Resilient is in single family now and in the future. On the multifamily side, a massive amount of supply just hit the market over the last several months. Multifamily is adjusting, but multifamily from a number standpoint will come back in somewhere probably in the middle of 2025. And on commercial side, it's just simply put, institutional is going to have a fantastic year. As you know, Resilient is technical in its own nature. I've been on it in the hospitals a lot over the course of the last 18 months. I see the impact of our technical expertise in different categories. And it's like that in the other institutional markets as well. Office is going to lag a little bit through 2025, but we're seeing some numbers in 26, 27 that are interesting. And I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up hospitality. Sure looks like next year is going to be an outstanding year on hospitality. And if you stayed in a renovated hotel or a new hotel lately, you're likely in Resilient in the rooms of the hotel. and in other parts of the hotel too. So we feel good about what's happening based on facts and data, and we sure like where Resilient is. One last thing, with the innovation and great design, Resilient is now on the single family side, going from your first home to dream homes. We're seeing it in the different levels of homes continue. It's permeating each of those levels.
It's interesting you bring up hospitality, because I'm headed to the BD&Y show this weekend. Yeah. And that is a shining star as far as bringing some good volume. It's also interesting. We did an article recently about the resurgence of VCT, which is a resilient product. So it's interesting to see what's going on there. I'm sure that was being talked about in the halls of some of your meetings.
Yes, absolutely. And you're also seeing what I'm seeing on sheet as well, which is very interesting. Yeah. So yeah, we're encouraged across the spectrum of Resilient. And then you've seen recent announcement, Kemp, about added supply is taking place in Resilient as well, which is always very exciting.
Yeah, you're talking about the Shaw announcement just recently that they're investing a nice chunk of money in their domestic Resilient factory in Dalton.
If you look at the last 4 years, the level of investment in manufacturing capability has been significant, as has the growth of Resilient. And as the economy continues to strengthen over the course of 26, 27, and as interest rates go downward, you don't see as much about it. But from the standpoint of manufacturing investment, I think overall in manufacturing investment, you're going to see some fun things happen as well as we go forward.
Those people that track the commerce numbers know that much of the Resilient that's produced and consumed in this country is imported. And so I'm sure there's a few executives that are waking up this morning and taking a look at how they might react to this threat from Donald Trump that he's going to increase the tariffs out of China and maybe some other countries. So that'll be interesting to watch, won't it?
You know, we're just waking up to an election. Everyone's looking at their supply chains and preparing for what's ahead in the way of demand. I got to tell you, I'm really a fan of our entire industry and looking at supply chains and the sophistication there. You know, one thing we haven't talked about, Kemp, and I'll be very brief on this, is with this surge that's coming in the built environment, we still have this installer issue out there, average age of installer 58, 59. A lot of times we get infatuated talking about product, but we do have this issue out there that is a major one. FCEF is working on it really hard. From a product sector standpoint, I'm really proud of Resilient because of the concentration on making it easier to install. So as I said, we all like to look at spaces, how they look, but it's also the product and the installation. So as everyone in the full covering industry looks forward, the installer issue has to be hit head on. I'm thankful for what Jim and the team at FCF are doing.
All right, Bill. Well, I appreciate you spending time with our listeners and giving us a quick rundown on what happened last week in Naples at your fall meeting. Again, been talking to Bill Blackstock, the president and CEO of the RFCI, and you've been listening to Kemp Harr and FloorDaily.net.